Given the option of a large space and the ability of building a sealed room within a room, what would be the ideal shape? Rectangle, coffin, etc. I don't know if there is an ideal shape, but I would just keep it simple and just build a large rectangular room with a good ratio. Run it through a room mode calculator to make sure that you're not doubling up on any of the modal frequencies between the height, length, and width. The reason that I would suggest that is because it will not only be easier to build, cheaper to build, but you also have a lot more space for putting thick absorption that we know for a fact does actually work, rather than trying to get clever with mitigating modes by angling. Even if you were trying to help the low frequency response by using angles, the angle would have to be so incredibly large that it would just be impractical to build. Typically, when you see these splayed walls and things in studios, one, they're pretty large rooms, and secondly, they're not really doing it to help the low frequencies. They're doing it because maybe instead of using absorption for the high and mid frequencies, they just want to deflect those if it's like a reflection-free zone type room. They might be deflecting those highs and mids past the listening position into the rear wall where they're either diffused or absorbed. But I wouldn't complicate things. If you've got a large space that you can build, you're typically going to be able to maximize the volume by just making a rectangle.
There are a lot of studio designers that use displayed walls, and they use that to specifically try and send more stuff to the rear wall, even the lower frequencies. I know, and there's the AmRock Pro is like, I don't know if you've seen that one online. There's the AmRock, but there's also AmRock Pro, which allows you to do 3D shapes. You have to pay for, if you want to do a full 100 modes, I think you got to pay, it's like $5, but you can look at the first 5 modes for free. Just draw a quick 3D thing and move the walls. I've done this before, where you just move the walls, you look at the modal response when it's a rectangle, and then you just splay the two side walls and look at how it changes. It doesn't change as much as you think it would. Usually it's like instead of like the edge of that kind of modal peak being like this, well, now it's like this, but it's still kind of in the same place. So unless you can do the kind of advanced simulation or the advanced math to predictably know what's going to happen when you display those walls, the advantage of rectangles is that you especially if the walls are massive, you can really predict where the problems are going to be just by looking at a modal chart. It's obvious. And then when it comes to angles and stuff, if you want to use it for reflection control and stuff, just like I did in this room, you can put angles anywhere you want and surface it with slats or diffusion or whatever to still get that reflection control, but behind it is all the deep stuff, so you can still have it, quote, look like a studio, but you're still just working in a box and get the advantage of all the extra volume, that's going to have better low frequencies.
A lot of the time we see these angled surfaces, they are just the treatment layer. They're not the solid walls. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. It just depends on the design. But yeah, just keep things simple unless you're willing to risk a lot of money.